many aliens could we take in a fight? Well, according to David Grush, we stand no chance at actually fighting them, apparently. Which, I have always said, if they are real and have visited us, well, I think aliens are real in the universe at some point. I personally haven't ever thought they visited us, but I've always said if they did, we would stand no chance. We would stand legitimately no chance. It'd be like putting a child up against, like, John Bones Jones. Like, you're never gonna win, right? And that's kind of what he said, too. One of the questions was, are our weapons sufficient to defend ourselves against them? Or something to that effect. And his answer was, absolutely not. According to my dad. So, like I said, I haven't watched the hearing yet. But once it was over, my dad called me, like, damn near celebrating. I could hear kazoos going off in the background. He's like, I told you, Charlie. I told you this day would come, that we'd have legitimate confirmation from reputable sources that aliens have come here. And he was filling me in. He was giving me the nitty-gritty behind everything here. But for those that don't know the situation, David Grush is a former military intelligence officer. We talked about him a little while ago. He is the real deal. He is who he says he is. And he does have actual pretty high-level clearance, as I understand it. And a little bit ago, he came to the public. Well, he made public statements that extraterrestrial visitors have not only been here, but have been observed, and in even certain situations, we have recovered some of their shit. And they had a hearing about this today. These are huge claims. Now, granted, he has not provided any evidence. He hasn't linked to, their social media accounts for us to double check or anything. We don't have any pictures or anything. Like, he doesn't have a picture of an alien doing a keg stand outside of Area 51 or anything. But he is a high-ranking intelligence officer who is making these claims. So it has more weight to it than most. So they had this hearing today, just kind of going over the scope of it, bringing everyone up to speed. And very interesting. He was asked point blank if there's any real biological indication that what they have is not of human origin. And he said, yes, it is not human. When asked how many people are aware of this, like in terms of like unidentified aerial phenomena, he said thousands of pilots have reported them but are either too embarrassed to come forward, thinking people will call them crazy, or are unable to come forward because of like crackdowns, something like that. Evidence should be king here. Well, he's not on trial. There's no burden of proof here. This is a hearing just to get all the information. He did say he has all of the evidence, but is unable to bring it forward to the public, but is willing to share it with Congress in what's called a skiff, I think, is what my dad called it, or my dad's just making up terms to make me sound like a fucking idiot. I've never heard of that before, but apparently it's like a private hearing, and he said he's more than willing to give over all of the evidence he has on all of his claims in the private skiff. Yeah, that's a real thing? Okay. I've never heard of that. But one thing that I said was very fishy from the start about this story is David Grush actually had expressed written permission from the DOD to come forward with alien information. So to me, he's not really a whistleblower. He's more of like a spokesperson. I don't think that necessarily pokes holes in the credibility of the claims, I guess. But it is very interesting that they're labeling him a whistleblower when he literally has permission from the teacher. This isn't a guy that fucking crawled through the trenches and threw up a signal in the sky in order to get us the information. He had permission. He had their blessing. He's a tier 1. Taz in the resub, Chupacabra, T-Pain, Sin, Prince, Torso, Obsidian, and Tinder. Hope you're doing well, Pain. It's been a while, man. Hope you're doing well. Your impression's getting better and better, by the way. Thanks to the Prime. Kush and Chaos. Why is he doing this? We'll have his answer and then I'll give you my answer. He believes that he's doing the public a great service by bringing this information forward, thinking that we need to be brought into the loop here, brought into the fold in an ever-growing situation here with advanced life forms. I think the reason is distraction. I think all of this is serving as a big kind of distraction for what? I don't know. But I just find it so odd that the DOD would be like super on board with it and let him do all of this. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what the distraction would be for, but I mean, here, let's spitball some tinfoil hat shit. Let's assume I'm right and it's all a distraction. I guess what they could do next is make claims like they need to build defense systems in order to combat potential extraterrestrials, like these big-titted goth babe aliens coming to Earth looking to harvest us. We've got to stop it. So we're going to need to increase our spending on defense programs in order to make sure that we're adequately prepared for it. Or, the aliens are really mad about all of the disinformation about our political leaders on the internet, so we're going to need to crack down and make sure that you can't say these bad things about our politicians because the aliens don't like it. I think they might use it as some kind of scapegoat to increase spending or something in different verticals, perhaps. That would be my guess. But I would love to believe that this is all very legitimate. David Grush legitimately has real evidence. Aliens are real. We've recovered certain things, and he can prove all of it. That's what I want. But what I really believe is that this is all somehow a distraction. Well, the second one is just me joking. Obviously, they're not going to be like, hey, don't shitpost about politicians on the internet. I'm just saying, like, using this, there's a lot of things they could branch into. Like the internet, they could, right? Like, there are certain things. And they're already trying to do that with, like, COSA, saying, like, we have to protect our children, which is why we need to increase surveillance online and crack down on freedom of speech online. Shit like that. So they could do the same with aliens. What's COSA? It's what we were talking about last night. It's an upcoming bill that they're trying to pass that basically just once again restricts freedom of speech online if it passes, under the guise that it protects children from pornography, predators, addictive substances, violence, and shit like that. And in order to stop it, they're cracking down on the internet so it's less free. It's just more. It's just more taking away freedom garbage kind of shit. But that has nothing to do with the aliens. I was just saying they could, if this is a distraction, start using that as an excuse for why they're going into different places and spinning in different places, and just blame it on the aliens. Thank you, Tier 1 Kenobi, and the resub Textural. And the 10 gift subs Wheeler. Thank you, Wheeler. And the 5 gift subs Daddy Bear. Thank you for that. And the resub Boost Farf and Zytro in Turkey. Do you think he's lying? That's where I'm really torn. I don't know. This is to date probably the most credible person to come forward with apparently other witnesses of high-ranking military origin with evidence. And we now have more access to unidentified aerial phenomena than ever. That's very hard to explain. So this is probably as credible as it's ever been. But I just don't know. It just feels artificial. He said it all under oath. If he's lying, he just ruined his life. Yeah, of course. But there is a huge difference between a testimonial and evidence. We've heard the testimonial. It's all under oath, of course. But we haven't seen any evidence yet. There's a huge difference. I want it to be real. I really do. The tier 1 Zin and the resub Wheeler and Mad. The Israeli space chief said the Galactic Federation is in contact with America last year. The DoD doesn't support, they just released him to say what he believes is a classified program. That's the only other comment. But that's still giving their blessing. Otherwise, they would have shut him down like they do most other whistleblowers. For example, like Edward Snowden, right? Like I feel like if they didn't want it out, it wouldn't have got out. And I don't know what the Galactic Federation is. I didn't realize we had Commander Shepard out there on the fucking Mass Effect relay at the Citadel or something talking to us. That's news to me. Yeah, we've done an entire deep dive on all of those free. If this is all real, do you think they would ever tell the public the full story? No. If not, why do you think they need to hide it? Panic. Brother, we can't even handle the most basic concepts right now. Go on Twitter for any length of time, or excuse me, the platform formerly known as Twitter, for any length of time. People won't even accept the most obvious, conclusive, true statements anymore. We are not ready for it. That's why they wouldn't tell the whole story if it is true. North Americans be the only one that eats this shit? Bah humbug to you, my overseas friend. You guys also have a space force out there. There's a whole meeting of nations going over why they need to get into space because of all kinds of weird shit out there. What are you talking about? I understand the like America dumb mentality, but it's certainly not just America when it comes to like the extraterrestrial kind of shit. We've gone through this entire rabbit hole. It's global. Let me look something up real quick. Oh, here's the article you were talking about. The Israeli space security chief says the Galactic Federation... Oh, no, I need to turn off my ad block. Okay. Okay. In 2021, though, Israel apparently talked about it. I can't read the rest of the article. All of these are fucking ad blocked, and I'm not turning it off. Sounds cool, though. The Galactic Federation sounds awesome. No other country besides U.S. reports alien activity. Why is that? It's just a straight up lie. What? Just from June, China says it detected signals from alien civilization. And that's just the very first one. What do you, like, there's, this happens all over the place. I'm not saying it's real or credible, but it's not just America. What is this, like, only America? That's just, like, categorically false. It only happens in America because I don't read news from anywhere else. Yeah. I think it was 600 safety, if I remember correctly. These are the resub Milos in Devil, in Squid, in Crone, and the give sub Sketchy, in Sakoshi. Did you see the congressman that said he would use the Holman rule to fire anyone who wouldn't let him see evidence? No, I didn't watch it yet. My dad brought me up to speed on all of it over like the course of 30-something minutes, just laying down everything that David Grush was saying. So I've only seen like a couple clips on Twitter. I haven't watched the whole hearing yet. Did they confirm aliens? Nope. Just under oath, he said that everything he's reporting is true. But he hasn't presented the evidence and can't present the evidence publicly, apparently, which is why he said why he said he's only allowed to offer it up during the skiff. The private thing. Thanks, Resub Peak. Which is very convenient. Very, very convenient. I want it to be real, but I'm just having a hard time believing that it is without any evidence. Like, his testimonial is really cool, and like I said, this is definitely the most credible guy that's come forward with this, as well as, of course, the other eyewitnesses he claims. But the evidence is still not public, so I am having a real struggle on it. Thanks to the bit safety, it was about 600. That's how much they cost. Why do we have any reason to listen to them when they provide no evidence? Because of where the claim is coming from. This isn't just like a Joe Schmo. This guy was a high-ranking military intelligence officer for like 14 years. Lazy Tier 1 Corey and the resub Sunfish. Not exactly like the number one person you'd think to just go out there and lie for no real benefit to himself. Yeah, but he's government. Remember, they also lied about JFK. Like I said, I still personally believe this is all some kind of distraction for something. What, I don't really know yet. Probably like increased spending on things that they'd have a hard time justifying. But yeah, as far as the JFK thing goes, you guys know they like released those classified documents a few years ago and no one cared, even though it kind of confirmed the CIA like killed JFK. You underestimate like how attuned the public is to things. It'll be maybe 2 days they'll think about it and then be done. People just don't really care. Released, they were redacted to shit. Yeah, it was still like highly redacted, but it still did pretty much confirm the CIA had a hand in the death of JFK. Which I would have thought would have been a huge deal, but it wasn't. Like shit, even I didn't hear about it for like the first couple months. And the prime crusty and the bits hazy. No, I haven't watched it yet, Hazy. The last time there was a big alien information leak, it was to cover up a train derailment where they burned it carelessly. Oh, you're talking about the balloons? I don't think they ever even for a single second tried to spin that as aliens. That was mainly the public. What's really sad, though, that you brought that up, is this was 2 years ago now, I think, there was a big alien dump. They released, I think it was 3 actual military jet videos of unidentified aerial phenomena that they didn't have an explanation for. They released it. The best footage, really, of UAPs, and not many people talked about it. But instead, people talked about fucking balloons. So, like, all of the actual pretty interesting stuff falls through the cracks. But, like, the goofy headline kind of stuff, like the balloons, is what sticks, and then that's what people associate, which gets very messy and makes it kind of shit. What the fuck are you talking about? They talk about that on Joe Rogan every other episode? Man, you're right, and everyone in the world is listening to Joe Rogan, which means everyone in the world was talking about it. How could I have missed it? I totally forgot. My boy Brogan was on it. That means everyone was on it. Thanks to Resub Hill, 7 in the Prime Sam. It was literally on CNN. Yeah, and so was Hugbees. It doesn't mean everyone in the world was talking about Hugbees at the same time. It fell through the cracks. I don't know why you're trying to argue the opposite. It didn't make it into the public discourse. Oh, not yet, not yet. I'm very excited to watch it though, Devil. No, he didn't say if the aliens were hot or not yet. I'm going to assume no. I've always thought if there were aliens out there, they'd be like insectoid-esque. He's a resub sup. This is true, how will it change things? I don't think it will. If he provided all of the evidence right now and confirmed beyond a shadow of a doubt that aliens have visited Earth, we have recovered their shit, they are here, they were here, I think the next day Twitter goes right back to arguing about legitimately fucking nothing. We'll talk about it for a day and then be done. I don't know, aliens really bring fear to some people? Fear? I think it'd be more of like a comfort thing, right? To know that you're not alone in the universe. I think the only thing that would be kind of fearful is religion, but didn't the Pope even say something like if aliens are real, it wouldn't even be like blasphemous? I can't remember what I think it was the Pope. It was some high-ranking religious guy. The Tier 1 Red Hood, and the Resub Bob, and Lemur, and Tad. How would the government even capture the spacecraft? That's exactly what I said. I have no idea. The only thing that I could even somewhat spitball a guess, assuming it's all real, is they recovered wreckage from a spacecraft that blew up somewhere in space and drifted onto Earth and crashed somewhere. I don't think it came to Earth and then crashed. It certainly wasn't shot down. Apparently he even claimed we have no chance of even, like, defending ourselves against them. So it would have just had to be like a drifting piece of something. That would be it. Just because you're smart doesn't mean you can't crash. Brother, you're not just smart. If you have something that can reach Earth, that means you have something that defies our very understanding, and this is even according to David, apparently. This is what my dad said, and he's right. That means you have something that is so far beyond our comprehension we can't even prove that what we're seeing would be real. You wouldn't just crash on Earth. The only thing that I could even think would be the case is, again, something happened, maybe it hits asteroids out in space and a piece of it breaks off and lands on Earth, crashes into Earth. It wouldn't crash when it gets to Earth. Yeah, Roswell was a supposed alien crash they blamed on a weather balloon. That's one of the oldest ones. They can travel the galaxy without problem, but when they get to Earth, all of a sudden they're crashing everywhere. I don't think he was claiming that there's been a ton of crashes. Just a ton of sightings. And apparently they do have in their possession some UAP fragments and shit. And I guess bodies too. Aliens heard about your performance in the Hunger Games and needed to come see it firsthand. See, like, there's a theory I'd actually subscribe to. That one would make sense. Maybe left here millions of years ago. Interesting. I guess maybe. Watch the video. Brother, why am I going to watch a 4-minute or 6-minute excerpt from what was a multiple-hour conference? I'm just going to watch the whole thing. You go watch it then. Like, what do you mean? I'd rather get the entire context. You heard about the WoW signal? Yeah, that was fully debunked, though. WoW signal was cool, though. He's a resub boy boxer. No, it wasn't. What do you mean, no, it wasn't? Unless there's new evidence. The WoW signal has an entire debunking history behind it. Pretty sure it's even in the Wikipedia when they went over it with the explanation. Yeah. Isn't this it in the discredited hypotheses from 2017? Yeah. It was not debunked. What? There was an... What do you mean? Yes, it was. There's a whole explanation on this at some point. I don't know if it was this one. I don't remember this one, but here's the discredited hypotheses. We already went down this rabbit hole. Thanks, resub Cam. And tier 1, Justin. Wikipedia is an L source. It's just a... It was just citing the fucking... the report. They didn't make the report. This is what I'm talking about. It's just complete refusal to accept reality. because it's more fun not to. The source is not Wikipedia. It just put the fucking report there and talked about it for a sentence. It's not a Wikipedia source. That's like saying the theory of relativity is fucking useless because it has a Wikipedia page. It's a Wikipedia source. It just fucking talks about it. That's it. Hypotheses doesn't equal fact. No, but it is debunking the hypothesis that it was an alien origin signal. You see the Forbes video on Matt Gates. He brought his own evidence related to UAPs. I don't go on Forbes. Doesn't let me because of ad block. And I'm never turning it off for him. Thanks for resub, Zythal. So no, of course I didn't see it. The source discrediting the WoW signal is very sketchy. You mean the professor of astronomy? As far as this goes, I'd feel like that's a pretty good person to have confidence in speaking on it. I don't know why you're so adamant about the WoW signal. That's been a highly, debated thing for a while. I didn't even know people still use that as anything more than just, a fun thing that happened. Professors can lie too. He must have an ulterior motive. By that logic, then the WoW signal itself could have been a complete fabrication. This is nonsense. It's just picking and choosing what you believe in. What the fuck? If you're going to go with that level of rationalization, then you need to immediately discredit the WoW signal's very existence. I'll take from Charles on the WoW signal. What is this WoW signal fascination? It's not even that interesting. Look, just go to read both sides here. There's an entire team of astronomers that not only replicated it, but then proposed exactly where it came from. Then there's some skeptics, including some guy named Emin, who I don't know. There's a whole thing on it. It's a back and forth thing, but they were able to, literally replicate it. What the fuck? It's not even an interesting deal. It's just kind of a fun thing that happened. Didn't you get that off Wikipedia? No, I went to the actual papers, which Wikipedia just mentioned. And then here's a write-up from NBC, I guess. That gives a more conclusive overview of it. I don't know what this WoW signal, obsession is all of a sudden. This isn't your concrete, definitive proof of aliens or anything. It is something that has been highly scrutinized since the very beginning by many, many astronomers. And I guess the most recent is someone named Paris and his team of astronomers. Why are you making claims on how truthful it is or not? What? Why is everything getting so mixed up? He still hasn't provided any evidence, but I said this is the most credible source ever, so it's very interesting. What is happening? What has happened to the brains of humanity? When have I ever said about how truthful it is? All I've given is my perspective on why it's very weird the DoD is giving him permission to speak about it, and that he still hasn't provided any evidence. Yeah, maybe the aliens are here and they're using that dumb beam from SpongeBob. It's only hitting Twitch chat. Thanks for resub new, the resub grotesque and B17. Prime Mini. But why are the aliens here? COVID? That's probably why. COVID hit their planet real hard and they were trying to escape. Or maybe they're here to collect COVID from us. They have a virus museum or something and they need COVID to be part of it. He says in the hearing that there will be a classified hearing to show Congress the evidence but cannot show the general public. Yep. I've said that fucking 4 times. The skiff. I know. But he hasn't released anything publicly. So it's hard to take it at just face value. Under oath is cool and everything, but that's still not proof. That doesn't show me an alien. For example, I could tell you, and I'd be 100% truthful about a dream I had last night. It doesn't mean it's real. Until I show you proof about something I'm claiming. He's a bit goofy. And I really want it to be real. Very, very much so. You don't understand, he's not allowed to lie under oath. And I wouldn't be either if I told you about my dream. That doesn't mean whatever I'm claiming about my dream would be real. I'd be 100% truthful. This is what happened. That doesn't make it any real, or any more real. No one has ever lied under oath, and they never will. Murder is also illegal, and luckily we solved murder with that too. Thanks for some simple fate in the prime quack. Did you see McConnell freeze mid-sentence and get escorted away? That's the third person to say that. Did he have an episode or something? I thought he just had like a little hiccup. Where is it? I'll look. It was during this? Was it during this or when? He might have had a stroke. Jesus. It's horrifying. No, it was just a general press conference. Horrible to hear. But why are we electing such old people? Holy shit. Good God. Electing DOD representatives aren't elected. It's just a general statement, man. It's not just him. Everyone's so fucking old in power, which is why they need an explanation of what the internet is once every year. You prefer some TikTok Zoomer in power? No, why does it have to be either a 6-year-old or a 96-year-old? Have someone in the middle. Have like a nice 40-year-old, maybe even like a 35-year-old. Like I think that's not like that's enough time to get some wisdom under your belt while still being knowledgeable on the 21st century. They don't need to be geriatric. We don't need octogenarians. Shit, anywhere from like that 35 to 50 range, like that's fine. Is a resub TC. 35 is the minimum age. I thought it was 32. But yeah, that's you're not seeing many young people in positions of power like that. It's mainly the 98-year-olds that have legitimately no idea what's even happening. What are you doing today? I got a Rocket League match, which I'm expecting to lose on. I don't play 1v1s and I don't play Rocket League that often. I'm mainly a spectator. But I still really like the game. I really like Rizzo, so I'm here to give it my best.